Welcome to r/malicious compliance, where we share stories of people conforming to the letter, but not the spirit of a request. And today we have 3 great stories, so subscribe, hit the like button, and let's begin. The first story. I told my boss it wouldn't work, but he didn't listen to me. The second story. I will be reimbursed rental payments in my favor in accordance with the contract. The third story. Anything that does not comply with the rules will be removed from the refrigerator. On to the first story. I warned my supervisor it was a bad idea. He told me to do it anyways, costing the company quite a bit of money. I work as a field technician, and my job is to go to various commercial locations and install or repair networking equipment. So about 2 months ago, they sent me to this site where I needed to drill a hole through a concrete wall. I wasn't able to do it, despite going to the store and picking up new drill bits rated for masonry. I hit rebar and couldn't make any progress. I notified my supervisor, we'll just call him Bob, and he told me to continue drilling. I protested, claiming that there's no way my handheld power drill can do it, but no, do it anyways. So I did. I drilled and drilled and drilled. I made no progress in about 45 minutes, until I got a text from Bob. Hey, how's it coming along? Not too well, we might have to reschedule. I've been trying to do this for over an hour and no dice. I send him a picture of the hole and drilling along with a picture of several extremely damaged drill bits. He gets mad at me, claiming that I'm not doing it right, to which I respond that I'm doing exactly what he told me to do, and that I warned him it wouldn't do anything. So reluctantly, he agrees to reschedule, but I make it very clear to him that this hole needs to be drilled by someone with better tools. He agrees and says he will have someone out there the next week to finish it. A month later, I get the work order for the same site. I arrive and see the hole still there, and upon closer inspection, it's still not finished. I immediately called Bob and tell him the situation. Hey Bob, there's no chance I'm going to be able to finish this install today. I spoke with you last month and we both agreed it would be best for a different technician to finish this site. The hole has not been drilled yet. Oh, can you just try to finish the hole? We have to do something. Sure, but I promise it's not going to help at all. So I drill for 20 more minutes, pretty much ruining my brand new drill bits, and call him back. Bob, it's not going to work. I can't drill through rebar with my tools. Is there another pre-existing hole nearby? Yes, but the hole is filled with cables and sealed on the... Just use that hole. I don't care how you do it. Sir, it's a bad idea, and I don't want to damage the existing cables. I just need it done. Please do it. So I do. I break the ceiling on the other side, and in doing so, break 7 of the 12 cables going into the hole. Noticing this, I panic and call back Bob. I got bad news. I broke the seal off the hole and in turn broke 7 cameras. Bob didn't say anything for about 40 seconds before. Are you able to rerun the cables to the camera? There's at least 5 more cables in that hole, so unless you want me to break the rest of them and spend several more hours fixing it, then no. Well, we have to fix it no matter what. I won't be able to do it alone, and some of these cables are routed through the ceiling, which is way too high up for my ladder. I need a scissor lift to reach it, not to mention the client is now peeved off at me. Okay, how much time do you need? There's absolutely no way I can get this done today, so you can keep me at this site and pay me to sit around, or you can reschedule and actually fix this. Bob hangs up on me and after an hour tells me to go home. Last week I heard they got 2 other technicians to completely rewire everything, rented a scissor lift, actually finished the original job, and reimbursed me for all my drill bits. I have no way to tell how much all of it costed, but it definitely wasn't cheap. I had a technician who was totally incompetent and had been doing his job for 30 years. He was burning cables, mislabeling, and he was doing everything halfway. On one job, we had to split the crew into 2 different floors. Me and 2 guys, including my dad, who I worked under. End of our workday, and we check on this guy and the other guy we left him with after 8 hours. In the end, there was not a single cable pulled, and we needed 70 pulled and disconnected by today. The job was to be done tomorrow. After my dad and I chewed this guy out, we spent the next 8 hours doing the job. I never had any failures, so for the most part I did the terminations. But the ones he did were all labeled wrong and all failed. Some were completely altered. And then to top off the uselessness of this guy, he tried to steal my tools. And when I caught him, he tried to make a joke of it. He was fired a couple of days later after I told my boss about his stupidity and incompetence. The second story is, abide strictly by the lease terms? You got it. About a month ago, I found myself in the need to move, yet again, because my current landlord decided not to renew the lease. He gave me plenty of notice, and even let me stay 1 week past my lease expiration. My new landlord, however, has been less than pleasant to deal with. I have 1 cat and I really wanted to get a dog. I specifically searched for places that would allow both pets, and after a lot of digging I found one. The place is nice, within my price range, close to work in a brand new building. We arranged a meet and show, and I was sold. Over the next week I turned in all the required paperwork and waited for the lease sign date to be set. One Monday my new landlord informs me that I must make the down payment prior to signing the lease. So I did, and that's the last I heard of him for about 5 days. He finally answered my texts, and a few hours later, I get an email with the lease attached. Going over it, I noticed he included that one cat was allowed in the apartment. I asked him right away if that meant I couldn't get a dog down the road, and he said he preferred I didn't get one. I was pretty angry, and I told him I didn't agree with that, plus it was not our original arrangement. He doubled down and insisted to abide by what the lease stipulated. I was out of options. I had already overstayed the term of my last lease, and had moved my schedule and paid for. I was effed. So I moved in just last week. I hadn't been in the apartment after dusk, therefore I hadn't realized that the power suddenly spikes and dims. Down here, the law states that latent defects fall on the landlord, and should the landlord not fix them in a timely fashion, I could go to the leasing company and renegotiate my rent, or make the repairs and have the rent be proportionally compensated to reimburse me. I brought this up the day after through WhatsApp, and he told me he would prefer if I installed surge protectors on every plug, rather than having an electrician assess the situation and fix it as needed. I reminded him that we would abide strictly by what the contract stated, as he had said, and that I intended to hold him to it. He doubled down again and told me to fix the problem yourself. And here's where the MC kicks in. I called my uncle, who's an electrician, and had him come over. He told me a power regulator with a surge protector for the apartment would fix the issue. The kind that are installed on the breaker box. I told him to quote me the most expensive one, to quote me for his full fare, no discounts, and install it. I took screenshots of my WhatsApp convo with the landlord, and contacted the leasing company. I gave them a rundown of the issue and told them the landlord had approved of the repairs being made. I sent the screenshots. Leasing company had me hold, and when they got back they said the landlord had cut them off and told them to talk to me about it. I sent the quote my uncle had given me. They okayed it and that was that. About 3 hours later I get an email from the leasing company, which states that as part of the repairs being made, my rent is covered for the next month and a half. Rent's like $400. 10 minutes later, a call from the landlord. He's angry. How dare I? He told me to fix it myself. I told him I did, and because the contract stated he was responsible for any latent defects, I would be reimbursed in the form of rents in my favor, as per the contract. He's been very much docile for the past few days. He's been very attentive, making sure that the pending delivery of my garage door remote was done on time, and has asked multiple times if I found any other defects. None so far, Mr. Landlord. Thank you. Landlords are leeches. Glad you cut one down to size. Unless the dog makes enough noise to make a complaint or cause damage, the landlord cannot terminate the lease based on the presence of the dog. If the establishment says that pets are allowed here, then you can have a dog. There are a lot of protection laws that make it very difficult to kick someone out. Print out everything you have for the place that says cats and dogs are allowed. Go over the heads of the homeowners again and let them know. And find out if any of your neighbors have dogs. Anywhere that allows pets, you can get a pet at any time during your rental. You just have to let them know. If you have some sort of landlord's insurance, pets should be allowed, except in special circumstances. I've had cats and dogs all my life, and I've rented most of my life. I've never lied to a landlord about having them, which is pretty common here since they can't apply for help. The last story is, the fridge is full. Why don't you follow policy? Will do. And now the fridge is empty. We have a fridge at work. Guess who got the glorious job off keeping it clean? Yup, me. Our rules state that anything put into the fridge must have your name on the container, as well as the time you put it in. Anything that does not have a name on it, a time on it, or has been in there for longer than 48 hours must be thrown away. It doesn't even specify that condiments like ketchup are exempt. Quite literally anything in the fridge. How are you going to comply with this if it's something like an apple? A few things you should know about me in the beginning of this compliance. The style of food I eat is what most people would consider trash. For lunch, I frequently pop a can of food and eat it without heating it. As such, I rarely use the fridge, or really anything in the break room, but I get the job of keeping it clean. I really could care less about what's in there as long as it doesn't look rotten, or give off an offensive odor. In addition, when there's an office party, the leftovers tend to make their way into our fridge to be slowly eaten by the employees as sort of a free lunch. It makes people happy. We eat it quick enough that nothing ever goes bad. Maybe a kiwi someone forgets in the back eventually. Then I chuck when even I wouldn't eat it anymore. And it's a free meal normally. The lady I took the job over from, more like assigned it to me because she didn't want to deal with it anymore, starts noticing more and more food end up in the fridge and not thrown away. Within the assigned time period, she brings it up to me and tells me I need to clean out the fridge. I could care F all about the thing, and I expect you to be able to police yourself like an adult, but as it was brought to my attention, I need to take care of it. The person who cared left, so now it's back to the normal police yourselves bit. I just go check like once a month and make sure nothing is too bad. I personally have eaten around the moldy bits on bread, so who am I to judge how moldy something can get before someone can't stomach it anymore? I wait till our meeting and make an announcement. Anything not in compliance with the policy will be removed from the fridge. If you have anything in there you want to keep, move it to the freezer. It'll be cleaned out tomorrow. Now, normally things happen during the normal business hours, and I'm sure that's what people expected. But I don't know who eats what or when things were put in unless they're labeled. And I figure once I clean it, no longer my problem, as I did what I was asked to. So I show up at about 6 a.m., or about 2 hours before everyone else. I have some stuff I have to do in the morning, so I have to show up early anyway. First thing I do when I get in, tackle the fridge. They were told yesterday to move their stuff, and nothing that's in there could have been put in there today, because no one else had showed up yet. Fridge went from full to empty, because apparently it was assumed I would do it at the end of the day. Nope, right away in the beginning. I'm not a savage though. Communal condiments that were not expired were left. Tupperware was washed out and left on the table while the contents were discarded. If it looked like a throwaway container, into the garbage it went. When people showed up and looked in the fridge, their expression was WTF. A lot of people were mad, including the person who told me to clean it out. Apparently I threw away one of her snacks. I explained the situation, reminded them of the instructions I had given the day before, and no one could really say anything. Shortly after that, the lady left. I went back to not giving a dang about the stupid fridge. Told everyone I was going back to just spot checks and to police themselves, and no one has complained. For those of you wondering, I still check it to ensure nothing is going bad. I just don't care to throw away people's snacks like I'm supposed to. I still clean it so enough to where I ignore it completely and let rotten stuff build up on the inside. We had an office manager who was in charge of cleaning out the refrigerator. She threw out everything. One guy just brought in meat and cheese for lunch to feed himself sandwiches for the week and left. She was a bee and threw away all his groceries. The guy was peeved and rightly so. He was on a tight budget and this was a blow to him. He went to his boss and told him what happened. The boss reprimanded the manager and it never happened again. Thanks for watching. Hit the like button and subscribe to the channel.